So, Anita Sarkeesian has decided to embrace the king of misogynist haters by appearing, giddy as a schoolgirl I might mention, on the Colbert Report. Now, let me remind you, back in the day, there was this poor persecuted woman called Suey Park.
Yeah, I was going to say that I feel like it's incredibly patronizing for you to paint these questions this way, especially as a white man. I don't expect you to be able to understand what people of color are actually saying with regards to cancel Colbert.
Sorry, being a white man doesn't prevent me from being able to think and doesn't prevent me from being able to have reasoned perspectives on things.
I know, but well, white men definitely feel like they're entitled to talk over me. They definitely feel like they're entitled to kind of minimalize my experiences, and they definitely feel like they are somehow exempt and so logical compared to women who are painted as emotional, right?
And she said and did some really stupid things.
You just called my opinion stupid. That's incredibly unproductive, and I don't think I'm going to enact the labor of having to explain to you why that's incredibly offensive and patronizing.
Explain.
I just told you I wouldn't enact that labor.
Okay, thanks for being with us, Suey.
Kind of like Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian. And this sparked a big controversy where she was essentially told by Stephen Colbert fans to stop being such a whiny little precious snowflake. Sorry, social justice warrior mode engage. She was subjected to a sustained campaign of harassment directed exclusively towards women by misogynists. This was nothing but a hate campaign run by a boys' club to silence uppity women, just fighting for their rights like Suey Park. And people like Anita Sarkeesian stood shoulder to shoulder with Suey Park against the evil oppressors, calling this article a must read. She even highlights the most important bit in Barbie pink on her Tumblr. The cybermob that is still attacking Sarkeesian and Park is the virtual embodiment of patriarchy's crowdsourced police. So, did you get that? The audience of Stephen Colbert is the virtual embodiment of the patriarchal crowdsourcing police attacking Suey Park. So why would Sarkeesian possibly want to go and talk to such an audience full of misogynistic haters? An audience that is described in an article that she calls a must-read as being the virtual embodiment of patriarchy's crowdsourcing police. For me, the doughy-eyed, starstruck Anita says it all about her priorities. Given the choice between rubbing shoulders with the stars and not making waves, or taking on the virtual embodiment of the patriarchal crowdsourcing police, her choice was very clear. The even bigger irony is the wider parallels, like Suey Park says something stupid, gets a backlash from Comedy Central fans, and she gets mocked by the Colbert Report.
But when I saw the tweet with no context, I understood how people were offended. The same way I, as an Irish American, was offended after reading only one line of Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. I mean, eat Irish babies, hashtag cancel Swift. Trend it.
Anita Sarkeesian says some really stupid stuff.
Women are being institutionally oppressed all the time in nearly every facet of our lives.
Some really messed up stuff, like blaming a school shooting less than 24 hours after the school shooting on the patriarchy. And some really, really dishonest stuff. And surprise, surprise, she gets a backlash from gamers. And then she gets invited on the Colbert Report to share her terrible experiences. Sadly, Comedy Central, you just dropped the ball on this one. Maybe you should have done it a little something like this. Don't you think it's ironic that Colbert so harshly chastises the mainstream media for not researching its stories before putting out all of these stories?
It was picked up by a small group of Americans who get their information only from Twitter, the news media. There were online stories in the USA Today, the New Yorker, Variety, Slate, the Huffington Post, 3 features on Time.com, and 7 on Salon.
Comedy Central goes on to do their background reading on exactly those same publications that they were happy to criticize because they did all of their research on Twitter.
There were online stories in the USA Today, the New Yorker, Variety, Slate, the Huffington Post, 3 features on Time.com, and 7 on Salon.
In a story about corruption in the gaming media. Oh, if only you could have handled Anita Sarkeesian like, if she was, say, a female Republican.
I was curious, what newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were tapped for this to stay informed and to...
Male fantasy games or male fantasy objectification of women games?
Some of them, that would be an accurate title, yeah.
Give me some names. Name some names.
I've read most of them, again, with a great appreciation for the press, for the media.
But like what one specifically, I'm curious that you...
all of them, any of them that have...
In the work that I do, I look at hundreds of examents of video games, and I
can you think of three?
Can
you think of three?
I can't.
Been in front of me over all these years. I have that.
But I think it's a bigger issue to talk about the industry as a whole and how it perpetuates.
I have a vast variety of sources where we get our news to.
These ideas of sexism and misogyny as opposed to just Grand Theft Auto, for example.